Here's the new Porsche 911 GT3. I'm at a racing circuit. We're going to find out if it's any good because I'm going to hoon it around here and have an absolute blast while you get to watch me doing that. No, seriously, in this video, I'm not only going to just drive it on track and enjoy myself, I'm going to tell you all about the upgrades on this new GT3 over the standard 992 version of the Porsche 911. Of course, I'm going to hoon it around a bit as well and launch it to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour and over the standing quarter mile. I'm Matt Watson and you're watching CarWow. Now let's talk about this car's design because it is heavily modified over a standard 911. The most obvious change is this huge rear wing which has this odd way that it's mounted. Now this is called a swan neck design. Can you see that? Now the reason they've done that is because by having the brace for the wing over the top rather than underneath, it improves airflow and it means that they can produce decent downforce without having to give the wing too much angle of attack. And too much angle of attack does affect your top speed. It causes drag. This minimises it. That's why this car can do 197 miles an hour. Now if you don't like this wing, don't worry. There will be a touring version of the GT3 available which will just not have a wing like this at all. Underneath there's a little ducktail wing as well. Look, I like that. It's built into the actual bodywork. You've got 4.0 on there to signify the engine's capacity. GT3 badging there, which you can delete if you don't want that. And then the GT3 gets completely redesigned rear bumper. Wait a minute. What the f is that? It's a fake vent on a GT3. Let's move on. At least this diffuser isn't fake, it does actually work. And a key characteristic of a GT car, the exhaust pipes centrally mounted rather than out to the side like on the normal 911. From the side, there aren't many changes over the standard 911. You do have a slightly wider front track by 48mm. These side skirts here in black. Classic GT3 central locking wheels like you get on a racing car. If you've got the carbon ceramic brakes, then you get yellow calipers. You can also get different colours on the wheels if you want them. You have to pay extra, of course. Likewise, you have to pay extra if you want these carbon fibre door mirrors. And it's £2,500 if you want the carbon fibre roof. I think if you're paying this kind of money, you may as well get that carbon roof because it just looks cool. Here at the front, there are some big changes. The GT3 gets completely redesigned front bumper, lower splitter as well, improves your airflow, your downforce, and cooling of the radiators. Look, there's vents absolutely everywhere. Vents here as well on the bonnet, which brings on to this. Look, bear with me. Check this out. So, according to Porsche, this GT3 is the first mass-produced car in the world to get, wait for it, to get a carbon fibre plastic reinforced bonnet. There you go. Now let's talk about the chassis upgrades, and I'm actually starting off inside because this car actually sits low to the ground by 20mm compared to a normal Carrera 2S. And the spring rates are twice as stiff as on that car. But to ensure that it's not completely awful to drive on the road, you do get special adaptive dampers designed for this car to make sure that you can live with it as a daily as well as hoon it on track. That isn't the most interesting thing about the suspension though. You see, this car actually shares its front suspension setup with the 911 RSR race car. It's the first road-going 911 to have double wishbones on the front rather than McPherson struts. It's big news that. To make sure that the GT3's new front end suspension system doesn't completely run away from the rear end, they've had to tweak the rear suspension as well. And all round, the car is fitted with racing style rose joints to make it more responsive and give you a better feel. I'm not going to explain what rose joints are here, not because I have no idea, it's because it's long-winded and boring. Just Google it. Hey Google, what are rose joints? Sorry. Now, if you're not happy with the way the guys and girls at Wysack have set this car up, don't worry. You can just head down to your local tyre fitter and they can adjust everything, the camber, the toe angle and the anti-roll bar stiffness. I'm sure it'll be much better then. The GT3 also gets rear wheel steering as standard. Now, I'm not going to bore you with how that works, but if you need to know, let's do it again. Hey Google, how does rear wheel steering work? Sorry for triggering your Google systems.
Back from a search.
Damn, I did it to myself. Classic. The GT3 comes with a limited slip differential as standard over the rear axle, and that can send power to the wheel with the most grip to help blast you out of turns. The GT3 has some seriously big brakes. As standard, you get steel discs, and at the front they're 408mm in diameter, which is the same size as the brake discs on the turbo. Though on the GT3, they're 17% lighter and they're internally ventilated rather than drilled. This car actually has the optional carbon ceramics. Then you have 410mm discs up front, gripped by 6-piston calipers. At the back, 390mm disc gripped by 4-piston calipers. Let's see how good these brakes are. I'm going to do a full emergency stop from 70 miles an hour. See how long it takes to stop. Here we go. Oh, the ABS is going crazy. Right, it stopped from 70 miles an hour in 41 metres. It's impressive. Now you obviously want me to launch this car and see what it does to 60 miles an hour and over the standing quarter mile. Well, that's coming up later on. Let's crack on with the rest of the review first. Now let's talk about this engine, because it's motorsport derived, 4 litre, naturally aspirated, flat 6, 510 horsepower, 470 newton meters of torque, and a red line at 9,000 RPM. Oh yeah, it loves to rev. Now, do you want to hear it? Of course you do. I'll just start it up. Oh yeah, have a listen to this. Soft limiter. Can I get round it? The old Porsche GT trick of putting it in drive, pulling up both paddles, and then it lets you rev it out while the car's stationary. Sounded awesome. Here on the inside, the GT3 gets a few upgrades over the normal 911. So as standard, you get Alcantara on the steering wheel, and there's Alcantara here on the inlays and on the glove box, and here on the gear gaiter. Speaking of which, rather than the little selector you get in the normal 992 for the automatic gearbox, you have like a proper old school lever. Also, you've probably noticed these seats, carbon fibre buckets, they're actually optional extra. But the GT3 does have sports seats as standard, and they're normally 4-way electrically adjustable, though you can upgrade those seats to be 18-way electrically adjustable. This car also has the optional kind of blue stitching, and you can have lots of different colours in here if you want to brighten things up a bit. And you probably noticed that as well, look, a roll cage. That's not standard either, it's part of the Club Sport pack, and that also includes some racing harnesses and a fire extinguisher, though all GT3s do have the rear seat delete. Yeah, you can't really take rear passengers in this car. They probably wouldn't enjoy it anyway, they'd be frightened. Obviously the GT3 isn't as practical as a normal 911, but it does have the same size front boot or fruit, and I'll illustrate it now by getting into it obviously. Look, 132 litres, which isn't massive, but I can just sit in here and I could take a little bath. However, if you need a hardcore track car with a bigger boot, you want to check out an AMG GT Black Series, and if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can watch my full in-depth video review of that car. And that brings on to 5 annoying things about the new Porsche 911 GT3. Now, unlike the Mercedes and some other track-focused sports cars, with this GT3 you can't vary the amount of traction control you get between different degrees. It's either on or it's off. You can mix and match with the stability control, but there's no variation. It's just, yeah, like I say, on or off, that's your lot. Unlike the Turbo S, which has had a huge power upgrade going from the 991 to the 992 generation, this GT3 hasn't. It's only got about 10 horsepower more than the old car. Even though this GT3 is very expensive to begin with, Porsche will still want to rinse you out on some options. I mean, it's quite unbelievable to think that this GT3 car, which is a track car, doesn't get the sports chrono as standard. I mean, really it should. We'd like to have a look at the engine on this car. Well, there is a button inside the cabin which looks like it's a release for an engine cover, so I'm just going to press it. Unfortunately, all it does is open this little flap, which allows you to get to the oil and the coolant. Important that, but if you want to see the engine on this car, you have to get it up on a ramp and look at it from underneath. Right, I need to come up with one more bad thing on this car, so I've got the full 5, but I'm really struggling. So I think I'm just going to mention this fake vent again, because it is. It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car. Aerodynamics are a really important part of this new 911 GT3. So obviously you've got that wing, you've got the rear diffuser, and you've also got 2 front splitters you can adjust manually. Now, as standard, this car has 50% more downforce than the 991 GT3. You put that rear wing in its most aggressive position, it has 150% more downforce. The gearbox also saves a bit of weight. You see, this PDK dual clutch automatic gearbox has 7 speeds, whereas that in the normal 992 has 8 speeds, 1 less ratio, equals a little less weight. It's also faster shifting as well. Plus the gear selector, look, you can use it in sequential mode, move it up and down like that if you want to change gear that way rather than just using the pedals. Yes, the car isn't happy because I've put it out of park while we're stationary. Of course, being a GT3, you can get a manual version as well if you'd rather have that. Instead of Porsche's usual normal, sport and sport plus modes, there's normal, sport, look, but then there's track. And what that does is kind of change the amount of information on these 2 digital screens, just so you can focus on the ones that matter, the rev counter and the speed. This new GT3 may be slightly bigger and packed with more tech than the old GT3, but it only weighs 5 kilos more. It comes in at just over 1400 kilos. Now, they've achieved that by fitting certain lightweight parts. For instance, this new car gets lightweight glass. Look, you can see it's like reinforced in the back there. That saves 5 kilos over the glass in the old car. You've also got a lightweight stainless steel exhaust system. That saves another 10 kilos, as does a lightweight battery. And that carbon bonnet, that saves 2.5 kilos. This new 992 GT3 has been timed around the Nürburgring at 6 minutes, 59.927 seconds. So it managed to crack the 7-minute barrier, which is impressive. Now, carwow rules state that whenever I mention the Nürburgring, I need to be kicked in the ass. The old 991. That is the question. But there's no one around here to kick me, so I guess I'm just gonna have to try and do it myself. This is weird. All right, let's see what this GT3 feels like to drive. Let's put it into comfort mode. Very silly. Let's go. Start the only way I know how to start. Oh, the steering on it, so responsive. And you feel it like just scrabbling around for traction. It's like hopping like a cup car at the back end. Oh, the brakes are strong. You know, roll it in here, roll it in, be patient, be patient. There, it's doing it again, just hopping around. The sensations are so good through your arse. So good through your arse. Got to brake in a straight line here, otherwise I'll be in all sorts of trouble. Turn it in. Then be patient here, because I don't want to understand. I want to balance traction, acceleration, because this corner, I need to just be able to manage that understand. It does a good job. Brake hard here, hard. Clip the curb, that's good. Then chase the curb here on the power. Late apex on this one. So get the power down now, coming out. Oh, there it is again, hopping around. This thing is a race car. It is an absolute race car. Oh, steady it on the power there. It's starting to come around a bit. Just applied a bit of throttle and it just gripped up again. There it is, it's coming around. So accelerate, accelerate. Just power, power, power. And it just puts the weight over the back end. Got to be brave here. Big ball time. Oh, this thing gives you big balls. Right, calm down, Watson. It's just cornering so flat. It really is incredible the amount of grip it gets, and it just tells you exactly what it's doing. Hold on the brakes here. Feel the weight transfer. Feel it start to rotate. My GoPro's all over the place. It can't hold on. Looking through the corner. Oh, you can just feel it just hook up as the weight transfers over the rear axle. The tyre just grips into the track. We're going to lose a GoPro, people. What's going to happen to the GoPro? Yes! Stay on, GoPro! Oh, the GoPro. It's all over for the GoPro. So I think that's my time up. That goes to show you what this thing is like. This black tack is brilliant for just holding cameras onto cars, and it just couldn't cope. It couldn't cope with the cheese this thing can pull. Oh, I love that. Awesome. Now it's time to launch the new 911 GT3. Porsche says it'll do 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, but I think they might be being a bit conservative. Come on, specialist timing gear here. Left foot on the brake. Full throttle. Let's go. Oh, bit of traction issues there. What are we doing? 3.11. What's the quarter mile? Whoa. 11.1. So I didn't have a perfect start. Part of the reason is these tyres have cooled down a bit, so I think I could do better. Now, interestingly, when I did a drag race in the previous 911 GT3, I did a quarter mile in 11.5 seconds. So this car here has beaten that. It's also beaten Porsche's claim time of 3.4 seconds to 60, from 3.1. Not as quick as a turbo. In a turbo, I managed to do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds and the standing quarter mile in 10.1. Now, I actually did a launch in a 991 GT2 RS, and that took 3.4 seconds to get to 60 miles an hour. Just struggled with grip because it's got so much torque, and did the quarter mile in 11 seconds. Let's see if I can match that 11 seconds. Let's do it again. Right, what I'm going to do now is turn the ESC and traction off, see if that helps. 3, 2, 1. No, not at all. Will have warmed my tyres up though. Yeah. So, let's undo that one. Let's reset and go again with traction back on, but with slightly warmer tyres. That was better. Come on, what you got? 2.87 to 60. Quarter mile's going to be good. Come on, what are you going to do? There we go. Whoa! That is impressive. 10.85 seconds quarter mile. I can't believe how much Porsche are lying about the 0 to 60 time. 3.4 seconds to 60. My arse. My arse. And it didn't hook up perfectly then either. And that quarter mile time, absolutely amazing. Do you know what? I felt like I've forgotten to do something. What is it? Oh yeah, I remember. Silly me. Childish behaviour. Right, that's enough of that. I think that's all the review boxes ticked now, isn't it? So then, what's my final verdict on the new Porsche 911 GT3? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should avoid the 911 GT3, because if you buy one of these, absolutely every other car you ever drive will seem boring. Actually, go right ahead and buy it and never sell it, and all will be fine. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Also, let me know of any other videos you'd like me to do in the comments below. If you click there, you can watch some more videos, and if you click on that box there, you can actually sign up to the CarWow newsletter, where we'll keep you up to date of all the latest news and reviews from the car world in between these video uploads. So just click on that, sign up, it's completely free, and of course you can cancel anytime you want to.